Hey everyone, it's a lovely morning here in sunny Arizona. Lovely day to do some arm bounces. Get out your ropes. Okay, with the arm bounce, after you get the butterfly down decently, you can start to work on the bounce. And it's easier for me to do when I'm spinning with my right hand. It's easier for me to bounce on the right side. You can do it on both sides, so I can do it on the left side too. But it's easier on the right side. And there's a difference. You think, well, what does it matter? It's just your arms pointing this way or this way. But there is a difference think of the direction of the rope is spinning. So on this side, it's spinning around this way, which is similar to how you might start learning the flat spin. The direction, just move it up horizontally. But then on this side, it's moving the opposite way. So your wrist is actually rotating a different direction. This side, your wrist is rotating Widdershin's direction. This side is rotating sunwise, which is sometimes the harder way. So it'll have a different feel on this side. Probably be a little harder for you if you're like me, but maybe not. Basically, you got your butterfly going. You're going to have to accelerate the speed of your spin going into the bounce. Otherwise, it won't bounce back and keep its circle. So you could have a butterfly that's a little slower, but then as you're getting ready, bounce it off your arm, you got to spin it a little faster, and it'll make that bounce. Now, at first, you might be having a hard time getting that motion to come in and then bounce back out. You might bring it over and do a couple spins, and you might just feel like you're spinning a loop over here and it's getting all messy. Instead of that in-out action. Or out and in action and then back out. So how do you actually get that? Well, it's a combination of two things, I think. A lot of it is just accelerating that spin at the right time. And that's enough to put tension on it that snaps it back out. And then the other thing is I think there's a little bit of a pulse. Is you're not throwing it out. It's not an abrupt movement. It's just there might be a slight little nudge in that direction just before the rope goes. So your arm nudges it in the right direction at the same time accelerating the spin, and then the rope follows it, bounces out. So it's just a subtle motion that you have to develop through practice. But looking at the slow motion clip might help you out on that. Okay, we're going to do this one for the slow-mo. Okay, since it takes some acceleration of the rope to bounce it off your arm, the loop is naturally going to open up bigger. So when you accelerate the rope, it has a tendency to open up bigger, right? So to be able to maintain continuous arm bounces is a real trick, and you'll find that it's probably good to start a little smaller if you're going to do more than one in a row. And it'll open up a little bigger each time. It'll have the tendency to do that, so just watch out. So probably won't be able to do it forever. I can do about 6 or 7 in a row before it starts to feel a little bit unmanageable. And then another thing is when you bounce it on the left side, since you're reaching across your body's more in the way. Like over here, your arm is out. The rope has a chance to come in and bounce, and it has clearance. But if you're over on the left, there's not as much clearance. One thing you can do is turn your body, get a little more clearance. But also, on the left, it's a little more natural to do like a body bounce. If the loop gets big enough, you can lean into it and have the rope bounce over the top of your body as well when you head into it. Watch your hat. Lost my hat there. The tree. So at first you'll probably have tries where you get it over here, you try to bounce it, and it just wraps up around your arm. That's normal as you're learning. Just experiment different speeds of spinning and different techniques until you start to find something that works, and you'll get the feel of it. And then another hard thing is after you do the bounce, then you got to go back into the butterfly. So that's a transition that you got to learn as well, and that just takes time. It'll be a little tricky at first. You might find that you get a bounce, but then you don't know how to take it back into the butterfly. So just try to be aware of the cycle, the speed, the cycle, the position of the Honda, so that you know when to spin, when to pull it over. Just trial and error. I mean, just gotta feel it. Just practice, practice, practice. Another thing to keep in mind is that if you're bouncing continually on one side, it's going to twist the rope. You know, the butterfly naturally has a way of just untwisting itself if you've got equal time on the right and the left. You don't have to worry about it getting kinked up. But if you start to bounce on the right side, it's going to get kinked up. So you got to offset it by equal number of bounces on the other side, or some other way that you just live with the kinked up rope. So just be aware of that. Pitfalls that you might encounter. That's another good reason why you should learn to do it on both sides to even out the kinks. Okay, what kind of rope is good for doing the bounce? Well, you guys know I use cotton ropes primarily. So I got these cotton Samson ropes. And I got a short one that's about 12.5 feet long. This one works well for butterfly. It's got 2 pennies extra weight on the Honda here. The burner is like a slick burner. It doesn't really slow it down because it's smooth. But there is a little leather burner on there just to protect it. But just a little bit of extra weight on this rope, and that works good for arm bounce. You don't want it too light. You do want a little bit of extra weight. I also love this rope. This is just a rope I've tied off, so all the weight comes from the knot. So it's not a super heavy rope, but it's a little heavier than just the 2 pennies, right? This one's a little longer too, but it still works good for butterfly. A little bit different feel, and it's actually almost a little better if you're going to do the body bounce. This rope with a little extra weight, you know, you're spinning it, accelerating it faster to get that bounce. And so it's naturally going to open up more, especially the lighter the rope is. So if you do have a rope that's a little weightier, you can push a little harder on those accelerations without it opening up too big. So that's another reason. Woohoo! Okay, before I sign off, I gotta urge you one more thing. Try to learn it with your left hand, or if you're left-handed, learn it with your right hand. I know it's hard, but I think it's a good thing. You don't have to. I mean, you can be a great roper without doing that. But I learned the butterfly with my left hand, and now I'm learning arm bounces with my left hand. It's not as good, not as pretty, but I can do it. And that side is a little tricky, so I'm working on that. But just to show you that I'm practicing what I preach. Ah! There we go. Okay, question. How many arm bounces should you do in a row? The answer to that is keep doing it until it hits you in the face. And you're done. I guess 8's my tops. Okay, happy arm bouncing to you. See you next time.